And another part of that, which it goes hand in hand with what you were saying, but specifically in the the dating and sex marketplace that you were talking about earlier, I think kind of the reason that happens is a lot of people, not just but men particularly. Well, actually, I'll go out on a limb and say that almost exclusively when we're talking about heterosexual relationships, most men operate under the assumption of a scarcity mentality.
Oh
So
yes.
when they meet a woman, they're kind of like, oh, like, and they're not thinking this consciously, but in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, this might be the last opportunity I have to, like, get a girlfriend or have whatever your end goal is. So the strategy in your subconscious mind is, I have to be as attractive as possible to this person, and like you said, that can often lead to someone being not who they truly are. And personally, I think that's a big part of why 50% of marriages end in divorce, is because when they first get together, you're at least partially this other person that's not really you. And as time goes on,
Right.
I think people tend to move relationships too quickly, and I know I did. I'll admit that 100%. I changed who I was. I hid the parts she didn't like, and I accentuated the parts that she did like. And then before you know it, and then she complains, well, when you're around your friends, you're another person. And at first I was like, well, no, I'm not. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. Because when I'm around my friends who like me for who I am, yeah, I'm myself. And that's like a slap in the face to her, because she's like, who is this? Who's this motherfucker?
Are you guys familiar with MGTOW, the men going their own way?
Yep.
So
Well,
a
I
lot
am,
of
are
that,
you?
like,
No,
I,
but I'm willing.
I'm very familiar with it, and it does draw in a lot of angry men, and I understand why. But it's actually pretty
You just
amazing the
got that.
philosophies
Sorry.
that they have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you say you were not familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm not. He
Okay,
is.
yeah, it's simply men going their own way. It's men deciding to not date and not participate in that. That's not my reasoning for doing it, but they do have. It would be hard to really dig too much into it here, but they have they have this great understanding of how society works, and even some of my ideas come from it. Like, I probably wouldn't have realized on my own that we live in a matriarchy, not a patriarchy, without MGTOW really explaining what's going on. But the reason I bring it up is that scarcity mindset. So, OkCupid did a study where men and women rated each other. And when men rated women, it was as you would expect. There was 50% of them above average and 50% below average. But when women rated men, it was 80% below average, and then 20% were average or above. And so that scarcity mindset
Jeez.
it is backed up by the way the world works, because there's that 20% of men that get all of the attention from the women. And so to them, women are like, well, how come I can't get a guy to commit? And, all of this. Well, it's because they're going for this 20% of men, for the most part, that have no interest in committing, because
Because
why
they
would
have
you?
options.
Just get another phone number tomorrow.
Right.
What do you care? And so, but then you
Ah, the
have
good old days.
this 80% of men who are sitting there saying, well, I would love to get a date. If I could get a date, I would treat that woman like a queen. And unfortunately, what happens is that then they start doing the same thing that we've all done, where you change your behavior in order to make sure, because I need them to like me. I need them to like me so bad, because I might never get another girl interested. And so, unfortunately, that scarcity mindset is something that is reinforced by the realities of the way the world is today, which is different than how it used to be. Because in the past, you lived in your small town or whatever, and sure, the two cutest people would get together. Okay, great. But then the next two cutest people would get together, and eventually everybody had somebody. But that's not really the way it is nowadays, especially with, the free love that was brought about in the 60s and all that kind of fun stuff. So it sort of ruined the way society had worked for thousands of years, and the way it had been set up. So I don't know what's going to become of that, and maybe there is something wonderful that comes of it. But so far, all it is
Netflix and chill.
it goes hand in hand. But I'm so glad you brought this up because we haven't had an opportunity to really bring it up because I am also, I wouldn't say I'm MGTOW, but I'm definitely red pill aware, or at least I try to be. And so, are you familiar with it? You've seen The Matrix, so you should get it. Yeah. So, and it's funny because I'd say in the past year I've been listening to a couple of different personalities and doing some reading, and it is just guys out there that if you're still plugged in to the Disney fairy tale thing, like do some reading because like you have straight up been lied to, point blank. It's not real. It's like you said, the Pareto distribution, and if you want case in point, if you've got a really attractive female friend who would trust you to see her phone, and she's single, and Tinder's probably the best thing to do. Have her open up her Tinder. Just have her show it to you, and I guarantee you, 80 to 90% of the time she swipes right on a guy, it's an instant match. Now compare that to your Tinder if you have one. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think a lot of women don't understand, because there are a lot of women that don't understand that Pareto distribution exists. So they think that, men are out there getting just the same results that a lot of women are, and it's just not the case. There are, like you said, there's 80% of men that are not getting any attention from women at all. Now, the problem is that instead of doing something about that, because again, they've been fed the lie that there's someone out there for everyone and that, it's just going to happen. A lot of these guys could have a solid chance, but they got some work to do.
Yes.
They've got to hit the gym, they've got to raise their income, and it's just an unfair. It's unfair, but it's real. It's the reality.